just west of Centennial. And again, we've been watching these flames.
There's more black smoke.
Yeah, that clearly have this wildfire burned hard, heavy, and fast, and came roaring into this area as folks were told to evacuate. And
it looks like a home on fire right there.
It does.
Yeah,
it really does.
There was another one.
It does. Yep, that one's now burning. Terry Gerbstadt called it. I mean, right after that press conference when Mayor Bach stepped in and said to folks that you need to evacuate immediately the Mountain Shadows area, I'm pretty certain that they were looking at the same forecast that, Terry, you were looking at.
Yeah, they were looking at those winds picking up from the west, which changes the whole scenario and starts to push the smoke and the fire off to the east. And this is the result of what happened. So they were spot on with what they were saying at that point in time.
They were, and it moved in hard, it moved in fast. Yeah, that home there is definitely burning as the black smoke is now kicking up. It's really a sad, sad day in Colorado Springs and in Colorado. I mean, no matter where you are, Teller County, the folks in Estes Park, the folks that I mean, their hearts have got to go out. The folks that were hit by the High Park fire, the Springer fire, all those fires. It's just sad to see Colorado going through this difficult time with regard to dry weather and no moisture.
It looks like another one too up in the top corner, the right-hand side of your screen. I think that was another home that just went terrible. Up.
If you read articles on this over the last 10, 15, 20 years, many people were saying it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when.
Yes.
And obviously when has come to fruition. The way the city's set up, so many people living close to the mountains, so many people living in the foothills like that with nice homes and shrubbery close to the house. That was always the fear.
I think we have Rachel Welty live again. Rachel, what are you seeing?
Yeah, guys, I'm going to have Kurt pan back over real quick so I can point something out to you, and then we'll just give you kind of one more look at this. The cops were we got word they're kind of headed up this way, this neighborhood, so they're going to probably be evacuating us soon, so I just kind of wanted to give you one last vantage point in case we are asked to leave. I'm going to step out of the shot, and we are parallel with Garden of the Gods, perpendicular with Centennial Road, looking in northwest. To give you kind of an idea, Garden of the Gods, I can clearly see it off to my left. I can see the new Citizen Services Center, El Paso County, and then if you don't even have to turn your head a full 180 degrees, and you see these flames. And as Nikki and Joe said, we saw at least 4 or 5 houses just from our vantage point, and I know that at one point, as you guys we're speechless. We're absolutely speechless out here. It's heartbreaking, shocking. I mean, this is Colorado. This is our home. And I'm just at a loss for words what I'm seeing right now. Just completely in awe. And the fact that there's more black smoke over the ridge it's just hard to believe. The good news is it appears the fire that was burning down on the left-hand side burned up into the road, so it seems to have stopped there, but it's still kicking up pretty hot, and the flames are pretty high, as you guys are seeing. So I wanted to give you one last look and one last perspective in case we are asked to evacuate. If we are not, then we will stay and continue to bring you these pictures, but just an absolutely horrific, horrible day for this community, and I'm just heartbroken myself even. So we'll continue to give this to you guys. We'll toss it back to Joe and Nikki, and we'll stay as long as we can.
You see the threat on more of these homes. I mean, we've seen several burn, but there's still a lot of homes that are still in danger just around those flames. And I know, excuse me, earlier in some of those shots, you could see sirens, flashing lights. And you got to guess that those, in many respects, probably were firefighters making a last-ditch effort to try and save some of these homes. But, you know, there's only so much they can do.
Right. I mean, it gets to a point where it's too intense. It's too life-threatening for them to go up there and try to save these homes.
That's what I was going to say. They're literally putting their lives on the line to try to make sure that everybody is out and everybody else is safe.
And look at that black smoke that's coming up there. That has to be another home or structure that... I mean, you can see the flames and how close they are to these homes that haven't been fully engulfed just yet. I mean, it seems like it's almost creating a domino effect, just one after another.
And what I find is interesting, and it'll be interesting also to hear if the firefighters talk about that, is in the foreground here, it's hard to tell if that's already been burned, or is that like black that has been burned, or is that, you know, because it's interesting if that fire moved down, and then, you know, those are still some of the hot spots that are still burning.
Right.
You know,
It's
where that
almost
fire
impossible
came
to
down a
tell
little bit. It
from
is. It's
our
so hard to tell
perspective.
and it's, you know, it's getting darker, and as it gets darker too, really what you're going to see is is just flames. Is what you'll see. It'll be hard to make out, but just, you know. Obviously, we've got confirmation in many respects now that the Flying W Ranch has indeed burned. It's gone. And for those of you that lived in Colorado Springs, and everybody knows the Flying W Ranch, Terry.
That was one of the first places I think I went when I moved here.
Yeah, and I don't know, Ian, if you could pull in maybe a 3-shot here, and we'll pull in Terry Gerbstadt so we can, you know, and maybe pull up that video. But, you know, Flying W Ranch, like you said, has been here 100 years. It's been here forever.
It's a staple of
it is.
the area, and we were talking about this earlier. It's one of those places where if you're a tourist and you come to town,
That's a place you go.
some of you ask, well, what things can I do? You know, talk about the Cave of the Winds, talk about going down to Royal Gorge, and you talk about the Flying W Ranch, and hearing the cowboys sing and having a meal,
Right.
and the whole thing.
And the summer season is their time to shine. I mean, this is when they come out in full swing. So to lose that place at this time, I mean, to lose it at any time is devastating.
It's really a major loss to the city, because it's one of those things. I'm sure the people that drive out here from back in Iowa or Ohio or Kentucky, they come out and they probably go back and they probably talk about that. This is what we did one night.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It is. It's
a very unique experience.
It's an icon in town. I mean, if that's what you want to call it, it's you know, it's something that everybody knows about and everybody does. You pull that picture up a little full screen, and we can talk more about, you know, that whole area. A lot of beautiful homes. It does appear that, you know, oftentimes the firefighters have talked about this. Those roads often build a natural fire break. And in this case, Centennial, you know, if that is indeed burn marks that have come down, you know, it didn't cross Centennial, but as Terry said earlier, had it crossed Centennial, it would have been a case where if you see all of those homes that are just below that, there's the church, and then down there is just a number of homes.
The homes are smaller, but they're much closer together.
They are much closer together.
It would probably take out large numbers of homes if it gets across Centennial.
Yep.
Now that home that we're looking at right now that looks untouched has been that way since I think Rachel went live there, and you can see there's already like 2 or 3 homes around it that have completely burned to the ground, or one that, you know, off to the left that looks like it's close to catching fire. But it's amazing if that house remains untouched.
You wonder if those people had done some major
extra mitigation
around
I know
their house. I don't know, but it's possible.
When I was talking to a woman that lives in the Cedar Heights subdivision, that's one thing that she said that they were crazy about when they first bought their house, was that mitigation. They took it so seriously, and that was something that they worked on constantly. And I think fire crews have even said that that's pretty much what saved that subdivision. The whole subdivision was the mitigation efforts that they had put into that subdivision. But you're right, it very well could be that homeowner did something a little bit more. Not saying that these other homeowners haven't done anything, but it comes to a point where this fire just takes control, and that looks like another house.
Right.
That the rooftop looks like it's on fire.
And
there.
as you said, in some cases, absolutely. If you get a wildfire that's coming through and being pushed by 30-mile-an-hour winds,
right? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
what you
matter
did.
what kind of fire mitigation you've done. It's going to come in.
Oh yeah, some embers are going to drop on the house.
Right. It's kind of
time.
just all comes down to luck in a way.
Yeah.
You know, you sit there and you cross your fingers and you hope it doesn't happen to you, but.
There's a mandatory evacuation update. This mandatory evacuation order is in place for all areas west and north of Garden of the Gods and I-25, north to the Air Force Academy. The Air Force Academy has also been evacuated.
Yeah, they've been told to go to Fort Carson, I believe, a lot of the faculty and staff there at the Air Force Academy.
So these are all important information, and obviously anybody in that area is probably well aware that they need to get out of there.
And what's been coming to my mind is you wonder what the firefighters can do, if they can do anything about this at this point. Are they going to come in and try to save some of this? Are they going to try to put a fire line along Centennial. I don't know, just thoughts that have come to my mind.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I mean, we'll find out their plan B. They were talking about their plan B in the last press conference at 4. You know, we're about 10 minutes away from hearing from crews once again. But like Sade mentioned, a lot of the fire personnel they're not going to make it to this 8:30 presser. I mean, obviously they have their hands full. They have more important things to deal with, but hopefully we'll get updated too. I mean, they may have an estimate as far as how many homes and structures have burned at this point too.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're only minutes away from hearing from those folks out at Coronado High School.
I wonder how many times something like this has happened where a wildfire of this size has gotten into a populated area. The only other thing that comes to my mind is, what was it, 10, maybe 15 years ago, the big fires they had out in Oakland, the same type of thing, and that got into the populated areas. You don't hear about that very often at all.
Right, and you've also seen those fires, you're right, in California, not even just the Oakland area. I remember those fires that were down in the Southern California area. They got into those foothills and were just ripping through some homes.
You can see that black smoke really picking up right there.
And this is a case where, you know, obviously Colorado has had its fair share of wildfires lately, and this one became the top priority. It became the top priority as soon as it moved closely.
Yeah.
Yep, and the federal government issued this as the top priority, and this is exactly why, because it's proximity to such a highly populated area. I mean, we're talking about so many people's lives being impacted by this fire right now.
And where the fire started, or at least the approximate area where they think it started, was very close, within a mile or 2 or 3 of some of these subdivisions. So it's started very close,
right.
And obviously it's finally worked its way in to some of these areas.
And while that plume was going on, I know we had talked several times. We said, you know, when this smoke clears, it'll be.
I know, you almost don't even want to see what it's going to look like tomorrow morning.
It'll be scary to see what's going to be underneath that plume of smoke that was making it so difficult for folks to evacuate. And our crews were reporting it was difficult to drive, it was difficult to even get out and breathe, all of that stuff. And that's clearly this is what's happened.
It was interesting here at the station at Fox 21. We had some pretty heavy smoke odor, but we were kind of on the periphery of that main plume of smoke. I can't even imagine what they were going through in the northern part of town.
That's why we can't sit here and complain at all about what we were smelling or what we were going through, because it didn't even come close to what everyone else is going through right now that's in the brunt of this.
So you're looking at live pictures right now. We're at a vantage point looking west over Centennial. These homes are west of Centennial, and that's kind of the section we're in, and it's very close to Garden of the Gods, I believe, is the other,
Centennial
the other road.
Garden of the Gods.
Yeah, Centennial and Garden of the Gods, and there's obviously the flames have hit some fuel there.
And our camera angle is from up at the Point of the Pines area, which you probably know. It's just off to the northwest of the intersection of Garden of the Gods and I-25. It's that little mesa area. I believe the Sunbird restaurant is up there, and some very nice homes are up there. And that's kind of our point of view at this point.
Yeah, and it seems like it's really creeping in on that home right there if it hasn't already reached it.
And those flames have obviously hit.
Huge orange flames right behind that home. I don't know if they can zoom in at all or if that's as close as they can get, but you can tell as the sun, you know, starts to set and it starts to get darker and darker outside, you can really see where this fire has picked up.
Yeah. So we want to reiterate the mandatory evacuations in place for all areas west and north of Garden of the Gods and I-25, north to the Air Force Academy, and as we said earlier as well, the Air Force Academy has also been evacuated. Some heartbreaking pictures that we're bringing to you live as this fire gained steam. It happened about 4:30 this afternoon, 4:15, 4:30. Some storms kind of helped fuel this fire that direction. And Terry, you were saying 25, 30 mile an hour winds.
We had some gusts up around 35, 40 miles an hour, which started to really feed this thing coming in from the west. They switched around. They were coming in from the south and not causing much of a problem, at least not as far as the city itself is concerned. And then they started moving in from the west, and that's when everything started to light up. First off, it was the smoke moved over the city, and everybody was having trouble with that. We had traffic problems just because the smoke was so thick. And then the smoke cleared, and this is what we see when the smoke cleared.
Do you see any relief in sight as far as precipitation goes? I mean, any chance whatsoever? Just, I mean, drops. I mean, I know I saw Denver was getting a little bit of rain. Any chance that will come our way?
There's a chance of some storms tomorrow. We're going to have, officially you would call it a cold front move through. It's going to be a cool front. It's going to drop the temperature 4, 5, 6 degrees, not much more than that. As it does, it could initiate some isolated storms. Could we get one somewhere over the fire area? Yeah, we could. And at least with the precipitation, it would help. But normally with thunderstorms, we're going to get lightning and we're going to get some gusty winds, which is something we don't need. So it's kind of a yin and yang type thing.
Yeah, you can really tell we're starting to lose daylight.
We are now. Keep in mind some of those evacuations, and the places for the evacuees to go include Cheyenne Mountain High School. That is an American Red Cross shelter. The YMCA shelter.
And Summit Elementary.
Summit Elementary, and that's for obviously the folks on the other side of the closed Highway 24. They've added some new ones obviously to this list. There it is, the Southeast YMCA on 2190 Jetwing Drive. And obviously, if you've got this number of people that have been evacuated, the outpouring of support has been so great. So if you want to help out, you know, obviously one of the things they say, the Red Cross is always very thankful to receive monetary donations. That's the best way for them to help those in need.
And I can't imagine what they have to be up to now at this point. I mean, I haven't seen any figures released yet, but as far as cold hard cash goes, I'm sure the Red Cross is really getting a lot of,
that looks like an A-frame.
That's definitely another house.
That's another home that's definitely burning. And it's just, you know, that's that home in the middle that we've been looking at for a while.
I'm telling you, the fire just seems to be completely avoiding that house for some reason. I mean, it's been standing there untouched. I mean, I'm sure it's just completely inundated with smoke, but other than that, it doesn't seem like the flames have touched it.
Yeah, and
every house around it is engulfed.
Yeah, the one to the north earlier, just only 15 minutes ago, it wasn't burning.
It's got to be like a guardian angel over that house or something. I can't figure out. I mean, they did something.
I'll tell you, if you've lived in this town any length of time, you probably know somebody that lives in this area.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And you might be thinking, hey, find out where they are, call them, say, come on over and stay at my place, because